Click the subscribe button below to receive new videos as we release them. Hit the thumbs up button so others can find our content. For more information, visit thejerusalemassembly.org.
Spiritual Dissonance by Ruben D. Garcia. Just imagine for a moment a pristine scenario in which truth would be the complete essence of a human existence. It would some utopia, however, that is not our current existence. And neither has been in the last 5,200 years, until now. Welcome, my beloved family of devoted readers looking for not only the essence of what is the truth but also being the searcher of the lack in today's understanding of what it's supposed to mean in this earthly journey. It is my strong belief of such cognitive inadequacy in our lives stem from the fact that we entertain a society where harsh disaccords, disharmony, spiritual conflicts, and daily interactive tensions are an ingredient with daily occurrences. This dissuading mentality has for influence to deter humanity from a course of peace and harmony, worst of all by relying on many times in malintent persuasions or in extreme cases, exhortation. You may be thinking, how is this possible in an affluent and educated society of ours? Well, that is what I plan to present to you. As the title above says it, spiritual dissonance has been an integral part of human development since the beginning of time. Throughout our existence, humanity has been endowed in the principles of disorders or disturbances in the social and political human's nature. You can see these two principles in today's political and social arena in our own nation but throughout the world. Therefore, it is not something new. They are ancient principles we have become accustomed to accepting and lived by as a natural way of life, but no more. Since the beginning of the year 2026, after 5,200 years, the year 2026 has become the epicenter, the focal point of an unprecedented spirituality revival as never been experienced until this year. However, do not run to conclusion that we have had such emotional movements before. Because I will assure you, humanity has never have had such epic spirituality until now. Due to the grievous spirituality humanity endured for millennia that caused great grief, pain, and even deaths, divine interventions were called for after so many cycles of despairs, spiritual gridlocks, and even hate-harboring emotions caused by absolute dogmas that harbored a central authority with the power to end a life. Think that I am kidding? Check the lives history of renowned scientists of the Middle Ages daring to cross that line. The hardcore dogmatic spirituality of the past began its demise in the later part of the year 2012 when our Earth began a cycle of rejuvenation affecting not only the nature of the Earth but also humanity. These cycles of rejuvenation did not only mean the natural nature but also humanity's conscientiousness. It is conscience process that has the greatest importance as we speak. In scientific terms, the old Earth begins its transitory orbit through a dense field of energies for duration of 36 years. I pointed this out in my published novel, God's Chosen Ones, in which for 28 years our Earth would be affected by a series never experienced cosmic energies altering our conscience as well as Earth nature. This and many other elements would affect our existence in various aspects, such psychological, cognitive, and especially our spiritual motivation. Simply, humanity were to go through a conscience as well as spiritual metamorphosis, and as we speak, we are amid the greatest conscience, spiritual, and cognitive makeover. Consequently, humanity is in a sort of consciousness fast-turning roller coaster. To some, it is an exhilarating ride, while for other it would feel as, I should have never got into this contraption episode. Either way, every single human being will go through it whether liking it or not. However, the result of this divine transition would depend in each individual spiritual Strength and emotional stability. Thus the effort of this article is to give an overview of what it will be expected of each one of us. As mentioned earlier, the year 2026 is our transformation demarcation line mark, so let's look at the earlier scenarios and then current one. As mentioned, for the last 5 millennia, humanity has endured an unprecedented survival mode in all aspects of our existence, but it was not until the last 2,000 years that it has the greatest mortal impact. It was a period of terrible spiritual and emotional persecutions, to the point that created such diversity in humanity's consciousness that almost no one could figure out what spirituality was all about. It was such a monotonous existence that conscience fell into dark pit of despairs and darkness. It was a life disjointed from truth, values, and beliefs. In short, as the subtitle of this article, it was the existence of a life surrounded by a spiritual dissonance. It meant that existence, or the belief of a greater being, lost honor, respect, and obedience, unless dictated by a religious entity with a purpose, though concealment of a truth. This ancient spiritual subversive agency was able to establish autonomy and endured until the year 2012, when the cosmic energies began to exert an acute awareness to the earth in all aspects of humanity's lives. Simply, the archaic dogmatic consciousness along its influential temperance was coming to an end. Consequently, humanity from the end of the year 2012 and up to the year 2025 have been going through a changeover of not only emotional but also spiritual. The defiant spiritual dissonance of many years is now being replaced by a spirituality supported by evidence of a spiritual and divine great source or infinite being that is not only completely different from the ego manifesting God we entertained and looked after for over 5 millennia. These ego God, as I called it, gave the world dissolutions through attachments that enslave our spirituality until the year 2025. Therefore, we have embarked on a whole new spiritual perspective for all the future humanity. Yet, you may ask, if we are in a new spiritual trend, why are we having wars in the Middle East and in Europe? The answer is remarkably simple: the old doctrine of spiritual suppression must be eradicated. Simply, the old must be destroyed for the new to rise. That is what it is happening. The incidents throughout the Middle East and Europe are in their last existence. It must be necessary to emotional and spiritually demolish the old one, and that is the efforts as we speak. Be not weary that it will expand, because it will not. It may not seem that its demise is divinely driven, but it is. Your efforts should concentrate in appealing to the divine source to accommodate emotional peace and spiritual perspective for those suffering, to see beyond the horizon of misfortunes and see a new dawn just behind it all. That should be our efforts, rather than pickering, arguing, or being defiant at the divine intervention we are currently seeing and experiencing. It is at this time that we should exercise trust in a greater source, an infinite one, because, I can assure you, have Iran not being dissolved their potential plans for complete dominion of the Middle East, we America would have been partially disseminated as priority one of their plans. Upgrade to Panopreader, the standard edition, more voices and features available, and know this audio clip. Our children would have been the ones suffering from Iran's regime. Dastardly acts to a futuristic America. But it would not have been only America but the whole Middle East. Think about this for a moment and you will experience the novelty of our current spiritual transformation. In conclusion, there is an active transformation currently taking place over the whole Earth. It is driven by the cosmic and galactic energies affecting this planet. Yes, you are and will Experiencing physical symptoms, nauseas, joint pains, breathing issues, and even sleep disturbances, all part of your body transitioning through these cosmic energies. Emotional and physical tolerances must be seen. Diets rich in greens are essential, fluids that do not have chemical additives, fruits, grounding, walks, on the soil, and some adherence of sunlight too. Mentioned a few. However, the most important advice is, remain positive and assure yourself and family members that all these happenings are part of great transformation that would help all of humanity. Grasp the level of your emotional state. Do not allow to swing like a pendulum, but keep it center in all your activities. Practice the unique principle of coherence, for it will aid you in navigating the negativity others would manifest because of their fears. Do not allow for their inadequacies to influence your thoughts. Next, practice self-reliance and discernment. These last two ones will be an essential principle of your daily routines. Absence of them can cause emotional chaos and some crisis that you must avoid at all costs until all that is now affecting world conscience begin to tone down. The success of this transitory both divine and cosmic journey has beneficial outcome for many centuries to come. The spirituality that will rise from all of these will be like spiritual renaissance that you cannot fathom at this time, but it is coming. Either you enjoy the ride with such magnificent joy or subdue to unforeseen miseries and dismays that can choke your emotional state, causing such fears that will affect you physically as well as emotionally. Rely in the spark of the divine source, God that dwell in you. It was placed there for a reason, use it and deprive the ego from directing your lives through fears, chaos, and cognitive miseries which you do not want to experience. In short, the outcome of this transformation will depend solely on you, and not the ones next to you. They will not be able to respond to your spiritual ailing symptoms, because they may be in the same conditions you will be. Misery loves company. And that is one aspect of consolation I would recommend not adhering to. Use your inner intuition to find your emotional balance. Watch for rumors, malevolent advice, or any fraudulent acts subverting the ongoing transformative spirituality. Be the captain of your own boat, it will all pass as long as you maintain a level head and do not consort your thoughts and opinion on news media, social and political outlets. You must be prepared that an avalanche of social and political negativity and ill speculations will rise of such proportion that you may think, humanity has gone bunks, crazy. In the next article I will address the platform more in detail in how to survive the divine transformation and in what to put your beliefs. Until then, the great infinite source guides your steps and strengthen your transformative spirituality. And so, it is. Remind you again, the past, the present and the future do not exist anymore, only the now. For certain. Much peace and love to endure. Upgrade to Panopreader, the standard edition, more voices and features available, and know this audio clip